Sorry about that. Okay, so what does that mean? All right, so let's take this one step at a time. What does each part mean? I have a 2. This line right here means I'm going to divide a number. What is that number? That number is -5, right? So like I said before, negatives are big babies. They don't like where they're at. So I need to move things around. So this 2 will stay. When I'm dividing, it doesn't like, I can't divide. I have to multiply. So I'm going to switch this division to a multiplication sign. And I have to do the reciprocal for this. So what does that mean? Well, it means that I'm going to make it into a fraction and move this guy over. Right? But again, I said negatives are big babies. So it doesn't like being down here. It needs to move up. So I still get that 2. This guy moves over. And I get a to the 5th power, which is exactly what I had. But instead of having to do all this crazy math, all you have to do is say, oh, negatives are sad or are babies. They don't like where they're at. They need to move up. So when I move it up, now they're happy because they decided they're able to move and they're exactly where they want. So I get the answer 2a to the 5th. Now, let's do a couple more practices. So I have a 1, 2 to the -3. Again, we don't like negatives, or negatives don't like where they're at. That's the reason why they're, sad, they're upset. So I need to move it. This is at the bottom. So if it's on the bottom, it wants to move to the top. So I get 2, because 2 times 1 is 2. I see this 3. I'm going to put it up here just like it was down here. But instead of it being negative, it's now going to be positive because it's happy. What does that mean? It means I have 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 gives me an 8. So my answer would be 8. So we do it again for B. Again, this A is not happy that it's down here because it's negative. So it's going to move up. So 1 times A gives me an A. This 5 stays with the 5, but because we did move it, it is now going to stay positive. So this is my answer. For C, again, just like we did with our example, we need to see what our exponents are. What's my exponent for the x? Is there one? There isn't. That means that I have an invisible 1. Do we care about invisible ones? Not really, because they're positive. If they're positive, that means that they're happy with where they're at. So I'm going to leave this x right up on the top. This y, however, has a -5. Since it has a -5, it doesn't like where it's at, so it's going to move to the top. When I move it next to my x, and move that 5 now becomes positive because it did move to where it wanted to be. Move on to D. Oh, sorry. So this is our final answer. Move on to D. Uh-oh, we see parentheses. That must mean that something's going on. Parentheses means that I have a partnership. They are going to be grouped together. So this -3 isn't just with the A, but it's with both 2 and A. That means 2 and A are both going to move to the top. So I'm going to have 2A with my parentheses, and I'm going to have a 3 on the top. When I move it to the top, that 3 now becomes a +3, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to leave it like that. Again, for the last problem, I look at my exponents. I don't see parentheses next to my 2 and my t. That means I'm going to treat them separately. So I look at my x. What exponent does it have? It doesn't have any. So I'm going to put an invisible 1. All right? I look at my 2. Remember, 2 and t are separate. They don't have parentheses around it. So I look at my 2. What exponent does that have? Doesn't have one. So since it doesn't have one, again, I know I have it in. So now all of my exponents are there, so I can now solve my problem. X to the positive 1, it's positive. It's happy. It doesn't need to move. So I'm going to leave it there. 2 to the 1, that's also happy. So I'm going to put my fraction sign, which is right there, and leave my 2 on the bottom. It doesn't care about moving. I look at my t to the negative 3. Okay, now this is the baby. It's not happy being down here, so I need to now move that guy up to the top, next to my t, next to my x. So I move the t up on the top, and I put the 3. The 3 now becomes a positive because it did move. So my answer would be x t to the 3rd over 2. All right? So again, all we're doing is pretty much moving things up. So if it's negative on the bottom, we're going to move it on the top. So 2 to the 3rd. 2 to the 3rd means I have 1, 2, 3 2's. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So my answer would be 8. A to the 5th just means I'm going to bring the a to the 5 up. So get a 5. The x has a positive exponent, so it doesn't want to move. It wants to stay on the top. When I move the y up on the top, though, my 5 does become a positive. So I get xy to the 5th. For d, I do have those parentheses, so I'm going to treat them together. So 2a to the negative 3 means that I'm going to move that whole chunk up to the top. That 3 does become a positive once it is moved, though. The last one is our tricky little challenge problem. I have x to the 1st, 2 to the 1st, t to the negative 3. 2 and t are not together. It doesn't have those parentheses, so I treat them separately. So I get x that wanted to stay, 2 that wanted to stay, but that pesky t wanted to move up to the top just so that that 3 can become a positive. And that's it.